Double bass drumming to me is a very powerful and physical style of playing. The more I get into playing two bass drums, the more I see the different rhythmic and musical possibilities. In this video, I'll demonstrate a series of concepts that you can use in playing two bass drums. I'll talk about the system of playing I use in my book, then I'll play some things from the book, and talk about how you can apply and extend these concepts. To begin with, an important thing to consider when playing two bass drums is your balance on the drum stool. To play both feet evenly and with equal power, you have to be pretty well balanced on the stool and not use either foot for support. You can develop this balance on the hi-hat before adding a second bass drum. A good exercise, which will also serve as a useful drumming concept, is to keep time by playing eighth notes on my hi-hat with my left foot, lifting my left foot as if it were a second bass drum. In this first demonstration, I'll keep time by playing eighth notes on my hi-hat. By lifting both feet and keeping both heels off the pedals, you'll develop better balance on the drum stool. By playing eighth notes with my left foot, my right hand is free to complement a pattern in different ways. I can add a fourth dimension to the pattern with a feeling of all four limbs contributing. For drummers who are comfortable playing time with the hi-hat foot, a natural thing to do when adding a second bass drum is to transfer this timekeeping function over to the second bass drum. By playing eighth notes on my second bass drum, I can form a 16th note single stroke roll by playing in between the eighth notes or on the E's and U's on my main bass drum. I'll demonstrate this. This is one way of playing the single stroke roll. The roll is achieved by playing time with my left foot. For a right-handed player, the disadvantage of leading with my left foot is that I'll always come out of patterns on my left. In this next demonstration, I'll turn this around and play the eighth notes on my main bass drum. With this single stroke roll, my right foot will begin each measure and play all the downbeats. This is the basis of the system of playing I use in my book. I call it the single stroke system. Using it, I play all my bass drum rhythms as if they were part of the single stroke roll led by my main bass drum. Using this single stroke roll as a basis, I can create rhythms by simply removing notes from the roll while playing the remaining notes as if the roll were continuous. I'll always start and come out of every pattern on my main bass drum. Applying this system to 16th notes, my right foot plays all the eighth notes, and my left foot plays between the eighth notes, or on the E's and U's. Besides having a systematic way of playing each rhythm, using this system will give each rhythm a consistent sound, with my right foot on the downbeats and my left foot on the upbeats. I can now use my second bass drum to add to a rhythm that would commonly be played on one bass drum. In this next demonstration, I'm going to play an eighth note rhythm between my main bass drum and my snare. By gradually bringing in my second bass drum, I'll create 16th note rhythms. Notice that my main bass drum will remain the same throughout. In the next series of patterns, I'll play various 16th note bass drum rhythms. I'll play them with an eighth note ride and beats 2 and 4 on the snare. The musical notation to each pattern will be shown on the screen. BD1 will refer to the main bass drum and BD2 to the second. In this demonstration, I'm playing a paradiddle and some paradiddle variations over 16th note bass drum rhythms. Practicing mixed sticking patterns over different bass drum rhythms will develop independence between the hands and feet. A popular concept in double bass drumming is breaking up both hands and both feet to form hand-foot combination patterns. In dealing with 16th notes, I can break up the hands and feet in any multiples that will add up to 16. Two good patterns to practice to begin with are breaking up the hands and feet in multiples of 2s and 4s. When playing these patterns, I use the same single stroke system for my hands and my feet. I lead with my right, and I alternate each stroke as right, left, etc., regardless of whether each stroke is played with the hand or the foot. In using this system, I'll always come out of a pattern on my right hand and my right foot. I can use these patterns as one-bar fills, or I can extend them for longer fills and solos. There are lots of ways to come up with these patterns. One way to create these patterns is to take an 8-note sticking pattern, like a single paradiddle, right, left, left, left. I can interpret this pattern as a 16th note hand-foot combination pattern by playing all the rights as right, left with my hands, and all the lefts as right, left with my feet. I'll demonstrate this pattern. Another way to create a 16th note hand-foot combination pattern is to take a syncopated 8th note rhythm and build a continuous 16th note pattern from it. For example, I can play the following rhythm on my snare drum with my right hand. I can then play all of the 8th note rests on my main bass drum, making it a continuous 8th note pattern. By then following my right hand with my left on the tom and my right foot with my left on the second bass drum, I get the following 16th note pattern. Notice that the original syncopated 8th note rhythm still stands out because it's the only thing I'm playing on the snare drum. Here's another example. Here's an example with a 2-bar pattern. All of the 16th note patterns that I just played dealt with even multiples of notes being played between the hands and the feet. I can use the same system to break up odd multiples, such as 3s and 5s or whatever, as long as they add up to 16 notes per measure. In using this system, what I have to remember is that if I end with my right hand, I pick up the next note with my left foot. If I end with my left hand, I pick up the next note with my right foot. In this next demonstration, I'm going to play a couple of fills that will superimpose groups of 3s and 5s over a 4 feel. The same single-stroke system that I'm using for 16th notes can be applied to 32nd notes. At tempos where I can play 16th notes on my main bass drum, I can play in between the 16th notes with my second bass drum, creating 32nd note rhythms. When playing the shuffle feel, I keep time by playing quarter notes on my hi-hat. By transferring these quarter notes over to my second bass drum, I can form a double bass shuffle. My main bass drum is now playing the last note of each triplet. By transferring the quarter notes from my hi-hat to my second bass drum, I'll complete the shuffle. one way of playing the shuffle. It's effective at fast tempos in that I'm simply playing time with my left foot. I'm playing the same combination of right and left on every beat of the measure. I can reverse this and play the quarter notes on my main bass drum, or I can play the shuffle using the single stroke system. By playing the shuffle within the single stroke roll, I'll shuffle with my right foot on beats 1 and 3, and with my left foot on beats 2 and 4. I can vary the rhythm by playing the middle note of a triplet without changing my footing. By using the same system I use for 16th notes, I can create various triplet rhythms. I can create rhythms by working within the single stroke roll. I'll play the triplet roll and explain the function of each foot in playing the roll. My right hand's playing a quarter note ride, and my left hand beats 2 and 4 on the snare. The 8th note triplet roll differs from the 16th note roll in that the main bass drum plays on beats 1 and 3 and the second bass drum on beats 2 and 4. The snare and the second bass drum will fall together on beats 2 and 4. If I isolate the main bass drum, it plays 2 quarter note triplets per measure. In each measure, the bass drum plays 6 notes, while the ride plays 4. This is known as a 6 against 4 polyrhythm. By now playing the second bass drum between the notes of the main bass drum, the 8th note triplet roll is formed. In the next series of patterns, I'm going to play various 8th note triplet bass drum rhythms, each for 4 measures. I'll play them with a quarter note ride with beats 2 and 4 on the snare. The musical notation to each pattern will be shown on the screen. I can use triplets to form hand-foot combination patterns. With the eighth note triplet, there are 12 notes per measure, so I can break up the hands and feet in any combination that adds to 12. Here I'm using eighth note triplets to demonstrate a few ideas for beats, fills, and solos. The same concept of working within the single-stroke roll can be applied to the 16th note triplet. I'll demonstrate this with a 16th note triplet shuffle feel. Sixteenth note triplets can also be used in duplet feels. A 16th note triplet takes up 1/2 a beat in 4/4 time. Therefore, I could play two 16th note triplets in one beat of a measure. I can isolate the 16th note triplet and use it to form a figure known as a 4-stroke ruff. A common way to play the ruff with one bass drum is by playing the triplet with my hands and completing the ruff playing the 4th stroke on my bass drum. With two bass drums, I can play the triplet with my feet and play the 4th stroke with my hand. In this pattern, I can substitute the 16th note triplet for the two 16th notes that fall on the and of 3. The triplet forms a 4-stroke ruff with the snare beat that follows it. I can combine the 16th note triplet with 16th notes to form hand-foot combination patterns. Since the 16th note triplet takes up a half a beat in 4/4, I can substitute the triplet for two 16th notes. I can substitute the 16th note triplet for the two 16th notes that start on each downbeat. Here I'll substitute the 16th note triplet for the two 16th notes that start on the and of each beat. I can play a continuous string of 16th notes and at any time substitute a 16th note triplet for two 16th notes. The triplet in each case will form a 4-stroke ruff with the hand stroke that follows it. I can extend the substitution concept and apply it to 32nd notes. Two 32nd notes take up the same amount of space as one 16th note, so I can substitute two 32nd notes for a 16th note. I can substitute two 32nd notes for the last 16th note in each beat. Here I'll substitute two 32nd notes for the second 16th note in each beat. In each case here, the two 32nd notes on the bass drums form a 3-stroke ruff with the hand stroke that follows. I can also apply this concept to the 8th note triplet. I could substitute two 16th notes for an 8th note in the triplet. Once you've practiced these concepts, try applying them to your playing. I'll leave you with a few of the things I've been playing. In live situations, especially with the intensity of a rock band, it's great to have the power of 2 bass drums to climax a solo. Here's some footage from one of my live solos.